Is it possible that the Christian church missed the second coming just as the Jews missed the first appearance of our Lord? I would like to suggest this is possible, and that the scriptures themselves seem to back this idea up. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, how can you say that we missed his second coming? Because he obviously didn't come. Seems obvious. I'm suggesting he meant what he said when he said, truly, truly. Get that? He emphasized the fact that this generation will not pass or expire until all these events take place. And pretty much universally people recognize the events he described were his second advent. If you take that at face value, it's a problem. Now, I'm going to discuss the explanations for that. There are various commentators who have attempted to explain that away. There are many more verses than just Matthew 24 that are problematic. In fact, there are over 20 separate verses that seem to indicate the Lord was promising his second advent to occur in a very relatively short time span. And 2,000 years just doesn't work. This topic is like the elephant in the room, or the emperor's new clothes. Everyone sees that the emperor has no clothes, but no one wants to mention it. There's another thing. People are not aware of how many verses. There's over 20 of them. In my opinion, simply state that it could not have taken 2,000 years. And every scholar admits that, yeah, there are a lot of verses that seem to indicate that they said that gave the impression to the first Christians that the Lord was going to come soon. Well, no, duh, because that's what it said. See, they try to put it off on, they were mistaken, because we're so enlightened, we really know that the Lord didn't mean that. That's what they tell themselves. But the words mean what they say. Or if they're so cryptic, you might as well, that's what people get away with. Well, you can't understand the Bible. It's one, in their minds, it's like, it's so dark and cryptic. It's such a coded thing that who could understand it anyway? Yeah. But I suggest that can't be. The New Testament, the Bible, has to be for the smartest individual and the dumbest individual. Yeah. Or it isn't right. You don't need to be a scholar to get this. So Jesus is not telling, you don't have to go to theological school to realize he's speaking in spiritual terms, and he did come, but maybe it was some event that you can't be seen, and blah, blah, blah. No, this has to be straight up talking, or he can't condemn folks that aren't too bright, like, well, you didn't understand it. Sorry, you don't get to come into heaven. It's ridiculous. Then I don't know how to do this, but let me run it by you, see if you understand this. This is not, you got it easy to get. When you tell somebody, this shall not happen till this takes place, you're giving a definite, known time. Generation is a span of time, generally speaking, you know the limit of it, okay? But the explanation that's predominant is that he meant this race shall not pass. The Jewish race, this generation or this race, they interpret the word generation, genea in the Greek, as meaning the Jewish race. Because the word genea it means generation. It meant offspring generation. So they had to say a word well, he maybe meant the Jewish race. This Jewish race will not pass away till all these things take place. Well, what doesn't make sense about that is that's an unknown. Jewish race passing away is an indefinite. You can't set an indefinite to bring an indefinite into picture. The indefinite when it's coming, it has to be against a definite to give you know where it sits in time. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. People don't get that. It's a strange concept, but they buy that. Oh, he just meant the Jewish race will not pass until he comes back. That's telling you nothing. That's like saying he'll come when he comes, because it doesn't give you any frame of reference. When you give two indefinite time references, you have to be, the unknown has to be set against the known. We don't know when the Jewish race is going to pass away, so it's dumb. And to go into the great lengths of saying, truly, truly, what he's saying there is, Mark my words. Believe this. This is, no, he's saying something that obviously the Lord knew would throw people for a loop. Almost like you wonder if he didn't say it for many years in the future, for our sake mostly, and for theirs, so they would, because they were, remember what the disciples were at? When will these things be, and what will be the sign of thy coming? Because he was talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, leading into this, and then to reassure them, he said, mark my words, this generation, 40 years, whatever you want to call it, this generation of folks, it'll happen in this generation. I'll come back in this generation, is what he's saying. But if generation meant this race, I'll come back before the Jewish race is destroyed. It tells them nothing. Isn't that, do you see how ridiculous that is? But that's the big explanation for that. Doesn't make sense. When I first read through it and I was learning about the prophecies, which actually sold me on Christianity, the fact that God prophesied certain events, such as in Daniel, and they came about, got me interested in the Bible. That's what caused me to believe, and everything was clicking and everything was making sense. And here I come along here to Matthew 24 and the prophecies, and oh my word, it's a stumbling block. Now,
because you're taking everything for face value.
Yeah, if you take it at face value, all the other prophecies came true, literally, were fulfilled, and then suddenly it's like a roadblock. And I do believe it. Christians stumble at this, though they don't admit it to themselves. When I got to the detailed predictions of Matthew 24 and various, I'm like, wait a minute, this is saying this all occurred in this generation. Oh no. If it doesn't mean that, it's wrong. But then it occurred to me, well, what if it's right? How do we know? How can we be certain he didn't come? Everyone says, well, he didn't, duh. But that's not true.
If we miss it the first time.
Yeah, and that's what dawned on me. My word, the whole nation, basically, he was there with them, walking among them, doing miracles, proving it.
I still didn't believe
And their hard heart said, no, that was from demons. He's doing those. Well, we can't deny he's doing miracles. That's what they said. Yeah. It's through demon power. They just refused to believe, even though he was right there. Yeah. And then when you go through the scenario of how could Christians have missed him, Christians didn't miss his second coming because the true Christians were taken. Yeah. And the only one left were Christians that didn't make it. Maybe not so honest. In fact, Jesus said, many are called, few are chosen. So there probably was a majority of so-called Christians left.
Yeah. That definitely relates to the whole emperor's new clothes, because people don't want to admit that they were left behind.
Oh yeah, I guess I was one of the duds. I was one of the unfaithful or whatever. Yeah, and they quickly excuse whatever. I'm telling you, what I think is fascinating. They literally could have seen him coming with the clouds of heaven, just as it said. It doesn't. But here's an interesting proviso. It doesn't mean, like say the unbelievers may have seen it too, but it doesn't mean they knew what they were seeing. It was a huge celestial event. Yeah. But other stuff, weird stuff has happened in the past, and they probably could have made it one of their gods.